Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Matt with Rural Iowa, and today we're going to be working on a big Rhino, I believe it's a TW80 brush mower. I've had this thing for about 6 years, haven't done much maintenance on it, and it shows. I'm recording this in the future because I didn't get an intro done. We have quite the show for you today, and let's just say before you go to use any implements that haven't been used for a while, maybe you should do some proper prior checking on it before you take it out and mow for 2 hours and burn out some bearings. But I get to show you my mistakes that were made, and hopefully you can learn from it. I'm going to provide some part numbers for you just in case you have the same mower and you end up having this issue. Hopefully you guys find this informative. If you do, go ahead and throw it a thumbs up, and go ahead and subscribe for some more fun, exciting content of me screwing things up and then having to fix them and filming them so you guys can see. But other than that, sit back and enjoy the shenanigans. All right, take care. And my most fun grease points of all. So I haven't checked the gear oil on this for quite a while. But we'll check that, and then we will be using this to mow some field with. Let's see what we can figure out with why the PTO shaft's not coming open. Before we take off with this thing, going to power this down, and we're going to sharpen the blades. As you can see, these blades have seen some use and abuse. They need to have a little sharpening done to it. So that's what we're going to do before we take her out in the field. Quite a few years, and we'll see how this works out. don't know what happened, but while I was mowing, all of a sudden this thing started making all sorts of noise and our bearing went out and our spline. That shouldn't be too hard to do. I'm gonna wait a while before I touch this thing so I don't burn my hand off. I'll be back with you when this is cooled down. Well, we had to stop because I ended up, you can see right there, I lost a bearing. So now I get the joy of taking it apart and learning how to put it back together and learning where to get a new bearing. I think this is a size 14, not a 9/16, but it's coming. Now I gotta get these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts off. Yeah, I'm gonna go grab gloves because this thing's still hot for when I try and catch it. There we go. Let's see what's behind door number 1. Is it more than what we think it is? No. That is crapped out bearing. That's one of the ball bearings. Okay. Well, the bad thing is I don't see any gear oil in it. The good thing is I don't see any damage other than the bearing melting out of it. Surprisingly enough, this roller bearing on the back is still okay. Gonna have to get in there with something or other to get all this metal shavings taken out. Teeth look like they're undamaged on both pieces. This thing's still super hot. Yeah, my stupidity for not checking the gear oil. You live and you learn, I guess. Not sure if this roller bearing is the same size as the one on the other end. It probably is. Look for a number on it maybe at some point. Doubt that I'm gonna find a number on this. I'll have to do some research and see what I find. If anyone's curious, this is a Rhino Twister TW84. I'm gonna have to start looking for some parts and seeing if that bearing's easy to find or not. But good news is, doesn't look like anything's permanently damaged besides the bearing. So hopefully I'll be able to just replace that bearing and be able to get back out there. So hope so. Gonna opt to stand by till it cools off so I can actually handle it and see about getting the bearing off, the rest of the way off. I guess I'll see you guys here in a second. It'll be a little bit more than that from me, but yeah, in a second. Got all the bearing parts and oil seals, bearings for the upper and lower. And I'll put the part numbers and all that in the description. Plus, also need to make sure these are the right sized seals and bearings. But we're gonna try and get this thing switched out. I actually bought some gear oil, so we'll have gear oil, and we'll go from there. Never torn the bottom of this mower off, so we're gonna be on an adventure to see how to do that. We'll start pulling stuff apart and see what we got. I know I'm at least gonna have to replace that lower oil seal because and the oil didn't just evaporate out of there. So yeah. All right, here we go. As you can see, there's an awful lot of debris from when the bearing went. We'll get underneath and see what we got to work with. If we can clear all this stuff out and go from there. If you want to take a look, I heated the devil out of something. You can see the smoke, but I had to heat this thing with that torch. It was this spindle right here that attached the stump bump. It was not coming off, so I had to heat and heat and heat and heat this thing. Finally it came off. Problem is now I have to wait like 2 hours to be able to even access what I came to access. So I'm needing to access that right there to be able to pull all my bolts and everything out to be able to get to my oil seal, everything else. But since this was being so difficult, I'm gonna have to wait for this to cool off, which is gonna take quite a bit. But that plate is very heavy. I'm glad I wasn't under it when it dropped. I had the nut still on it, and I was trying to shock. I'd heat it up and I'd shock it. Finally, it came free. We will stand by, let this thing cool down a little bit before we try and engage in tearing it apart and getting the seals and bearings into it. Did confirm that's a 302101. 302101. This is a 30210. Guessing it's the same part number. They look the same. This one was made in Japan. This one was made in Spain, it looks like. And if you can see, there's still smoke coming out of that. So it's going to be a little bit, but we'll be back with you when we're ready to start messing with it again. Well, that came out awful fast. I don't know if that's from heating it or if it was already going. Those obviously are not working anymore. Oh no, it was a good idea to change this all out, because better to change it all out and not need to than not do it and then have to replace it anyway. Alright, so I got my old oil seal right here. Got my new oil seal. And put it in there like that. I have a socket. And I'm gonna do a little tap. And we got her in. She's seated up. Good deal. We got that in. move on to the next thing. All right, I'm gonna knock off this cage. So we got that off. I'm gonna go get the other bearing. These will fit better if you cool them down, because then it'll shrink, because this thing's still hot. Need to put this, get this hot, have this be cold, because it'll shrink, this will expand, and then it should just slide right on. Got it. So got my bearing seated. This is gonna set inside here. And it's gonna be seated up here. And we'll get it bolted on. I have some Permagasket or Permatex Forma gasket sealant. I'm not sure if it's the right kind for what I'm doing, but it's what we're gonna put on here. So yeah, we'll see. Make sure it fits, I guess. But other than that, we'll get her put together and see what happens. Alright, we got her assembled. I've wiped that out. Got that in. We're gonna go ahead and I really don't want to put the blades on yet until I get the other parts on. So we'll go ahead and move up to the front, and we'll lower this down so it's easier to get onto the deck and get everything put together there. Then once we get all the box and everything, we'll put gear oil in it, make sure it's not leaking, and go from there. By the way, for anyone needing to know, these are all my old bearings, and these are all the part numbers. I have two 30209, two 30210, and then the oil seals. No. I have two 30209, two 30210, and then two different bearing seals, one being a 1960 and one being a 473237. That was all the bearings that I had to do. But that did all the bearings in the gearbox. Well, I'm not going to bore you with all the putting it back together, and it works good, works great. Ran her for probably 2-3 hours. I'd come back, I could touch this box. It's not hot or anything. This has been sitting for probably a week now, and I've looked in underneath, got no gear fluid leaking. Everything's looking great. When I took this out last time and tested it, I had some issue with my PTO engagement lever, which I'll be coming out with a video on. When it comes out, I'll probably try and put a link in the description or have a tag up here, whichever way you want to try and watch that. But thank you so much for watching my toil, and again, all this could have been avoided if I would have just paid attention and actually checked things out. I don't know how bad the leak was, but bad enough that it was completely empty. But again, I hadn't used this in probably 6 years, so probably had a really slow leak. But again, that's why you check this stuff before you take it out on a 3-hour mowing excursion. Luckily, it was an easy fix, just hard to find the bearings and the oil seals. Part numbers in the description below. If you have this model mower, you can have a heck of a lot easier time getting the seals and the bearings than I did. Make sure and check out the playlist. I did work on this tractor, got it all geared up before I took it out mowing. So go ahead and check that video out, and we'll catch you in the next one. See ya. I'm able dog. I'm able dog. There we go. It works again. Now it's so tight you gotta use a screwdriver to undo it. I mean, which is a good thing. Better than having it be too loose. Ooh, those are tight. Good deal though, all fixed.